You don't know. So this is the issue that I want to highlight. Evidence-based research. What this means is, what I talk on is based on actual research which has been conducted, evidence. It's not old wives' tales. By the way, not all these things are old wives' tales. Okay? Garlic actually does reduce cholesterol, but only if you take a handful of it at a time. Okay? Or for example, garlic actually does reduce vomiting in the first few months of pregnancy. These issues have all been actually studied in clinical research. So, what I'm going to be talking about is actual evidence based on research. The topics that I will be covering are what we know about already. Why smoking is bad, about consumption of alcohol, but also about common lifestyle behaviors. Is drinking coffee and tea good for you or not? Should we be taking vitamin supplements or not? How much of fruit and vegetables do we need to take for healthy living? What about all these other things that we ingest? What about our behaviors, the way we react? Anger, hostility, issues related to blood pressure, weight, exercise, including mental exercise, erectile function, whether use of cell phones causes tumors, and a lot of other matters. I'm not going to talk to you about things that are textbook based. I'm not going to talk to you about, for example, vaccinations or about annual health checkups. I think these you probably know about already. It's on the ground. If you are lifting it up, what most people do is they bend like this and pick it up, right?
Yes, sir.
This is the worst way you could actually pick up something. Because when you do that, ergonomically, you are increasing the risk of a slipped disc. Do you know what a slipped disc is? When a part of the disc in between vertebrae and your spine ruptures, it's called a slipped disc. It can lead to very serious back problems. The way you should lift weights is sit down on your haunches, pick it up, and stand up. Or for example, how many of you are athletic? How many of you participate in sports? Running? What kind of shoes do you wear? For example, is there anybody here who runs, who's an athlete? A sprinter, middle distance runner, nobody? Anybody who jogs regularly? You all want to be healthy, don't you? None of you jog. Somebody goes for a brisk walk. See, when you jog or when you run or when you play games, you should wear footwear that has a thick padding for the heel and for the toe. Gradual erosion of the cartilage in your joints, which means at the age of 40 and 50, you're going to be developing arthritis of your knees. And you won't know then that the reason is the wrong choice of shoes when you exercised when you were young. Okay, so what I'm not going to talk to you about is all this because I thought all of you should already know these things. If you don't, please ask people who know things in everyday life. So what is it that I'm going to talk about? I already know. All of you are postgraduate students, right? All of you know that the day a textbook is published, I'm not going to be discussing the studies in detail because these are obviously meant for the medical audience. But what I will do is tell you a little bit about these studies. Most of these studies, almost all of these studies were prospective studies. That means they were started with a lot of people in the studies. The sample sizes were in thousands, more usually in tens of thousands. And some studies even had lakhs of people followed up for 10 years, 20 years, or even 30 and 40 years. Think about when they came out with their findings. Some studies had multiple control groups. Do you know what a control group is? No, no. See, I'm going off the topic here, but if you're going to be MBA students, you need to know how to think also. Or supposing, here's the explanation. Supposing I discovered a new drug. let's say in fever, right? I take 50 patients who have fever and I treat them with this drug. In 5 days' time, 45 of the 50 people have completely recovered. Can I conclude that the new drug is effective? Yes. How many people say no? Tell me why you said no.
Sir, anyone sorry, what about this topic?
For 5 people it didn't work, but no medicine is perfect, isn't it? I'm saying that at the end of 5 days of treatment, new drug, let's say you use an Ayurvedic medicine and the patient is 50 people with severe headache, they treat with an Ayurvedic, 50 people didn't have any more headache. The headache completely disappeared. Is this medicine useful?
Yes.
How many people say no? Tell me one.
So it is not necessary. Maybe they get back the headache after a few times. Use paracetamol.
Okay.
So it's not necessary. And maybe besides the other 5 people, they don't have any medical history, and the 45 people whom the disease the medicine has cured, maybe they have some medical background and they have some certain ailment that is common to all.
Okay, you got some idea, but let me give you the. Have you heard of spontaneous remission? Most medical problems spontaneously subside. If you have diarrhea, you do nothing, it goes away on its own. If you have a sore throat, you do nothing, it goes away on its own. If you have a fever, most forms of fever are simply self-limiting. Go away. 45 people who became all right at the end of 5 days. How do you know how many of these people who can become well without any medicine? That's one issue. Spontaneous remission. That is the headache disappearing on its own, or the fever getting well on its own. A second possibility. Have you heard of something called the placebo effect? You know what a placebo is? Actually, that makes you well, and not what the pill is. Okay? The placebo effect is so